And you'll go from perspective to opinion, from opinion to perspective, all based on your belief.
Yeah.
Is that an opinion? Okay. Or is that a perspective, or both? You'll start, it's really quick. And like you said, it'll happen in that very, very quick time frame, or headspace is what we're talking about. And then the other beautiful thing about that is, again, I love being around children, because when they say something as simple as, that's not mine. That's not mine. Did you do that? That's not mine. We can learn from children sometimes. Does that go?
Build $1 million legacy with purpose.
What's happening? Welcome, welcome.
Welcome again, community. Build $1 million legacy with purpose. Convos for your calling. Happy New Year's Eve, right? And that's what day we on.
That's what day.
If you have made it to the last day of the year, can you give yourself a big hug? Can you kind of like do this hug?
Yes.
Because you have made it to 365 days.
2023.
A year that will never return again.
Or 24.
You are not the same person today that you were January 1st of 2024. And no matter what your year was like, no matter what, you made it.
That part.
You made it. You are under the sound of our voice. And with that said, I am Dr. Marnita on fire. Personal achievement and performance coach with Combos for Your Calling. And I am so honored to be here with my partner. Hey, girl.
What's going on? Hey, fam, and all of our wonderful, excellent audience. And this is Tamiko Ruby J here. And woo! That's what I got to say to today. We made it through. We made it through. It is December 31st, 2024. And this has been a roller coaster. Say what? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Y'all know I like music. Yep, Tamiko Ruby J here. Reiki master teacher and all that fun stuff, spiritual coach, potato chip expert.
Wait. Like, what is a potato chip? You like chips? Is that what that means?
Any chip, not any chip. There are certain chips. I'm just sharing that with people because I said I was not going to be eating chips in 2025. But I just put that out there. So so welcome, you guys. And I am super excited and just in awe that we are here today. Like, ooh, we. And what a difference a day makes.
Wait a minute, what a difference a couple of weeks makes, because we've been trying to have this conversation for 2 weeks now.
2 weeks.
Tamika, don't play with it. Just say it like it is.
2 weeks.
We've been trying to do this thing for 2 weeks now, but here we are.
Here we are. Yep. And so
today's conversation is going to be, I think it's really going to be good. I don't think much thought is put into, no pun intended, much thought is put into this conversation, because the title of the conversation, Convos for Your Calling, today is Thought Exchange Designs Expectations. Thought Exchange designs expectations for you. Even when I just heard myself say for you, because oftentimes, maybe even what I used to do or what I see people doing right now, they're trying to define expectations for somebody else. I need to stop. Really.
You see what your hat say? Nope,
not today. Y'all need to stop. And we're going to get to a segment that we were just coming out of the green room with. But what I want to say before we get to that, Tamiko, is that oftentimes people are looking for purpose, right? You hear everybody say like, I'm trying to find out what I'm supposed to do. And what I want to say to that for real today is that your primary purpose is to make a choice on how you're going to think about life. Because we live in a mental world. What you think about is what you see what you think about on the inside of yourself is what you see on the outside of yourself. And what I have found, this is so real and it's infallible. No matter which side you choose, you can choose to think all of the kind of like self-defeating stuff, or you could choose to think about all of the great stuff. Either way, what you think into is so infallible that you're going to get whatever it is. So your primary purpose is to choose the way you're going to think about your life.
What did Henry Ford say? Whether you think you can or whether you think you can't. You're right.
Right.
What did Wayne Zara say? And I think that this is a it doesn't matter, but that's where I heard it. But whether you think you can or whether you think you can or whether you think you can or can't, you're right. That's Henry Ford. But the other one is energy goes where the mind flows. Okay, so again, whatever you think about, you bring about. And usually if it's a level of worry, 98% of the time that stuff you worried about, it never happens anyway. Most of the time. Yeah.
That worry thing goes down a whole nother rabbit hole. But the interesting part too, Tamiko, is that, and this is for everybody. Nobody taught me how to do it. Nobody teaches you how to think about anything.
Touché.
And I know all y'all smart folks out there, y'all think y'all be thinking. It is what it is. But really think about that part for yourself. And if you're complaining about something, are you really thinking? Or are you just are you just repeating what you heard somebody else say, thinking that it might work for you the same way it works for them?
Exactly, or not.
Because here's what, this came out of one of my readings, okay? Y'all know I read a lot, right?
No. What?
I read a lot. Y'all know I read a lot. And so this came out of one of my readings. It says, whatever you conclude, God knows. Whatever God knows, God creates. Whatever God creates, you perceive it as existing outside of yourself.
That part.
Now, some of you may need to rewind and listen to that small segment again, because there's a delineation of thought right there. Because if anyone is out there thinking that things are happening to them, you need to understand that part of the conversation.
That's it.
So now I got that out the way. Now that I got that out the way, I was sharing with Tamiko, I have an amazing niece. She is so amazing. My girl, she's a mother of 3. She is a CFO of a mega church. She has probably like 3 different businesses.
And she's also a wife.
She's a wife. And And I look at her and she, to me, she's killing the game. And I speak to her a lot. And I'm really proud of her. And I was speaking to her lately about this thing about having the ability to be in a space where you can really think about what you're thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
And or controlling your thoughts. Controlling was like influencing the way you think. And she said, Marnita, she said, that's not as easy for some people to do as it might be for you, because you don't have a lot of things like that's going on as it relates to other things being able to influence you in such a way. Your time is your time. And I said, that may be true. And I was sharing it with Tamiko, and I said, she's kind of right. I don't have kids. Y'all know I play pickleball every day, right? I get up, I get up and play pickleball every day.
I was wondering, I was like, where does it come in? And that should be a yep.
I get up and play pickleball. Like, today was nope, not today. Like, if you tried anything on that court today, I was like, I was killing, like, nope, not today.
Not today.
But she said, your world is your world. You don't have people around you. You don't have kids. But I have a lot of self-control of my thoughts, and I was not always like that. And I was trying to share that with her. I said, there was a time, there were so many things influencing the way I thought. And I didn't even think I was thinking. I just was living based on strategies and templates that I seen that was happening around me.
Mm-hmm.
What I do know now is that I wasn't thinking, I was just living into circumstances that had nothing to do with me. But when I've really decided, like, this has to change, I started to have more intention around being in a space where I can really monitor and choose the thoughts that I was having in any particular moment. And I was telling Tamiko, it is so intentional what I do that I am totally disconnected from I'm in the world and the other world. I totally understand that statement that Jesus made now to its fullest extent.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am so disconnected. People bring up things to me that's gonna happen. I was like, when did that happen? Like 3 people died on 301. It was in a car accident. I'm like, what? I am so disconnected. So I was asking Tamiko, I said, Tamiko, now you have a busy life. I see it, Tamiko, as having a busy life. And she has a child. She has businesses. She travels a lot. She's a profound coach. She has other people that comes to her. One thing I could respect about her, she has placed borders in her space that allows her to really navigate that territory. Not very many people can do what she does. But what I was asking her, is it true that if you have less external influences around you intentionally, you have a higher potential of having more self-control over your thought space? So that's where we left off in the green room. And I said, "Ooh, that's a really good question," because to be honest with the audience, I don't know.
So I'm gonna just say this, that doesn't necessarily mean that people will get to where you are. I know people that have never had children. I know people that have never been married. And I know people, and those same people are stuck and been stuck. Okay. They are controlled by circumstances in life and whatever life does. Now, your question from when you asked me, was that my case, especially as a mom? No, it wasn't my case, because I've always concentrated on what was going to be in the best interest of me so that I could do the next thing. Right. So I'm going to be focused on, does that work for me or not? No, it doesn't. Then I'm going to do this. We talked about this early episodes when we talked about people not knowing and people not being aware. In the awareness of different things that have happened throughout life, you recognize that certain things that you will allow in, they weren't they didn't work to your favor. Okay. And so yes, when you do all of the thing, what I realized, and this is kind of piggybacking last thing, a lot of those, a lot of the way I operated from with doing all of the things and being here and being the go-to for everybody, again, a lot of that was out of trauma. That was a big trauma response for years. But the other thing was massaging my muscle of self-worth.
That's good.
Okay. So why did and it was always interesting to me, Marnita, when people describe me, because they would always say, oh yeah, I know Tamiko, she's tall. I'm 5'6". On a good day. And I'm like, wait, why does that say 5'5"? But how I showed up, me and my heels, long legs, and those things. But it was interesting how people would describe me. You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of times what I find, and especially women, especially minority women and successful minority women, and this is why we go running and crashing into that wall sometimes. And so for me, okay, that was how I navigated. But the thing that I had to have as control is I had to often retreat and just not be as available to anyone and have that quiet time and have that me time, or have that time where there were certain things that I enjoy doing. Oftentimes, when you are running like that and running all those things and doing all of the things, and what I found with a lot of my friends, even to today, if I ask them what do they enjoy or what do they like, they can't tell you. Okay. I always knew I loved music. I always knew that I love dancing. I enjoyed the arts. And so there were me. I also enjoy carbs. Okay, so there would be times where I would make time for me to enjoy those things, even as a mother who happened to be single. You know, my every breaking moment of my day that I was woke didn't have my co-pilot, which was my son, all the time. And people were like, oh, where's your son? Where's Quentin? Okay. When he played sports, there was no way that I was going to be at every single game. I don't care how hard I tried. But guess what? It takes a village. And so often when you're in that control thing and you're worried about, or you're concerned about the perception of what people are going to think, you will put yourself in a head grip that can take you out of here. I had a team. We had a team.
So I think that's interesting.
On
So
all levels. I went in my beauty career. I worked with the same probably half a dozen people throughout my whole career. Okay. In the theater world, I kind of worked with the same group of people, whether we were at Hannah, whether we were here, whether we were there. I've always been very selective, especially when it comes to my nucleus, who I have around me.
that's so good, because what I'm about to say is that there are people who are really struggling with this space of making time for themselves and their thoughts and their minds, and giving themselves an ability to do a thought exchange to design their expectations, right? Um, so oftentimes one might give themselves, well, I'm gonna give myself like, I'm gonna meet with my mentor or my coach or my therapist an hour a week, right? And they think that's it. And what I know for sure, and I haven't even experienced it on that level, just based on my experience, it takes more than an hour or 90 minutes a week to be able to have a transformation where you can be with yourself and your thoughts and be able to really make a true discernment of, is this working for me or not? Because there's three things that, like, as I was listening to you talk, I had written down three things and you hit on each and every one of them. Like,
I want to speak to what you just said though about
okay.
coaching and about therapists, okay? Because one of the things that I realized when I first started coaching, and the word coaches would drive me nuts. But what I realized, especially when I first started in it, is people wanted to often start with what was going wrong. Okay. And because I'm not a therapist, right? I'm a spiritualist, but in spiritual coaching, I want to speak to the spirit of the best part of who you are. And so what I would start with is, all right, and you all can do this. And I always say this even with therapy. When you go to your therapist and you sit in there for that 90 minutes, and sometimes you leave feeling good, most times not. They done dug up your shit. Now you got to go back out there in the world, which is just flapping in the wind like, wait, our time is up. Hold on. Can I come back tomorrow? You tell me next week? Like, what you gonna throw me out here like this? Okay, that's the difference. I'm not taking nothing away from therapists. I'm not. Somebody got to pay for the house. But anyway, did I say that out loud? Yep, there it is. So what I would say is, whatever you get in that session, hopefully you done wash the laundry out, you done work through some things. But then my thing is now, whatever you just went through in that time frame, how did that apply? How did that work through? What was able to help you move into that next week, if you got it weekly, hopefully, or whatever the case may be? So the way that I start with every session, okay, and if it's a tough session, when they start with, oh, you're not gonna believe this, okay, and then I'll say, okay, I heard it, but here, let's go. So what are your 3 wins? What are your 3 wins? It might start off with, because sometimes I get I woke up today. I said, well, that tone don't sound like that was a win. You see what I'm saying? But to get them to sit in that, and it would be 3 wins. It could be personal, professional, whatever. But once you, like you say, shifting the mindset on what the hell is a win for me, you'd be surprised at how many people, and the average person will give you their professional wins. And even if you're a stay-at-home mother, your professional wins are going to be, I did this around the house, I did this for the kids, I did da 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 da. Okay. So then I would say, okay, applause. We're gonna go through some things, and I'm like, give me one thing that worked really well for you. So when you talk about speaking to that, because oftentimes when you so out here doing, so out here being, so out here for everyone else, you have to almost be lured back into being inside of you. You don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
You don't know. But when we talked about early episodes, well, do you think everybody knows? I think we knew. But you keep running and running and running and running and running. Yeah, there's a part where you will lose yourself. Okay, like Forrest Gump said, I was running and running and running and running and running and running and running, and then I stopped. Well, guess what?
Oh my God, Tamiko. Oh, you'll lose yourself because yourself won't chase you. You have to
You're not going, there you go. And then I stopped.
I need y'all to put some fire in the chat on that part. Yourself won't chase you.
Yeah.
You have to chase yourself.
You chasing yourself. It's like we talked about this before. A cat that chases his tail will be this. You know, like a dog, you get home and it's so excited, it just starts chasing his tail and going He's just and then it'll do it, and then I'm seeing it in a couple of cases. And if it actually catches his tail, like and then it'll stop. Like, oh, okay, I'm back in my body. Girl, that is the funniest thing to me. I don't care how many times I see it. I don't care what type of dog. That is still the funniest thing because we do the same thing. We're so busy running, chasing, or just getting away from our own damn self. And then one day you stop. And so these are the type of things that I work on in coaching. And then what's also really funny is when we do the recap and people are like, all this happened? Yeah, all that happened in 8 weeks. Some of it happened in the first 2.
Yeah, that's interesting.
You know what I'm saying? And to me, the recap, which is the journaling, which is something I pride myself on because I've done it for myself for many years.
Tamiko, you journal?
Oh, yeah. I got 42 books of Tamiko dating back to 1984.
I was going to get my niece bought me a journal.
Oh, Marnita, listen, this is the one I'm currently working on, and it says
mine's is over there.
Have it, but yeah, constant have journaled for literally. I will send you a picture. I did a photo shoot. A young man was helping me out on some branding, and he was like, what got you here? Like, what made you decide you wanted to do this? Because it's intriguing. He was just turned 18. Talented young man, talented, one of my clients' son. And I looked and I said, see all those books over there? And we had them stacked up. And I said, it's all in those books. I said, those are journals. He goes, are you kidding me? Like, you wrote in those? Like, those are written, handwritten. I said, going back to 1984. And this was probably about 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. And what was interesting, so he had this idea to take all of the books and put them on my treatment table, right? He just spread them out on the table. And he was just intrigued by the fact that they were handwritten. I said, just pick one, open it up. Now, this is to show you how God works and how the mind works and the attitude. This young man, nothing is random, picked up one of the books, opened it. Now, he was 18 years old 3 years ago. When he opened that book up, he opened it up to the date, his birth date and year, that journal entry. He was like, this is my birthday. I said, read it. He was like, are you serious? It's your journal. I said, apparently you're supposed to. But now imagine that. You got all of these books spread out on this table. This young man, who's the photographer and the content developer, picks up one of the books, one of the journal, and it's a journal from whatever year, 1999, whenever he was born, and on his birth date.
That's good, Tamiko, because
and that he noticed it.
Most people would say, well, that's a coincidence. It's not.
Nothing is a coincidence.
There's another force out here that's working that is not seen, but it is the most important thing that exists in this world, period. Hands down. You keep mislabeling it.
It was a reminder to me that we're all connected.
All of us are connected. There's a oneness in all of us.
We're all connected. And that's what I said to him. This to me was just a very visual reminder and a very visual confirmation that he's the person that I was supposed to be working with. I said, now, because he was a little intimidated. I'm like, you got this. Whatever you decide you want to do, we're doing it. So, but you were saying, you said something that I keep mislabeling it. Is that what you said?
No, I say, this force that people keep calling is either a coincidence or luck or anything like that. You're mislabeling the force. That whole force of that one mind. We're all in the same mind. People, I finally get what you said, what you always say. Because I would say something to you like, people may not know. You say, no, Marnita, they know. Like, it finally hit me what you were saying this week. Because the reason why you said it and the reason why it's true, yeah, you do know, is because we all impress one mind. We all are living within one mind. Everything we do is deposited into one mind.
Well, or let's put it this way, everything we already are.
Okay.
And
that's
so
a whole nother level, though.
That's the oneness. And so the uniqueness in how we show up in that oneness still has us connected. Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if we take a cup of water out of the ocean, shit, it's still water.
Yeah.
Okay. So now
y'all know I read a lot too. What I've learned, I've been working on myself. For real. What I've learned is that one mind is just it's just getting to know itself.
That's it. And
by the period of perspectives that has been conditioned out of it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Now, if you don't know what I just said, you need to sit in it for a minute, because it'll come to you. Like, there are some things Tamiko has said over our time together that she'll say, well, they're not lost money. I'm like, okay. Now I have to sit in that for a minute.
Yeah, because your face would be like, nearly are. Mm-hmm. Right. Or you
right.
Like,
but now I do understand.
Exactly.
And even when you said before, when you said, like, I have to digress and kind of like stop. Like when you're trying to get into your thought space and you're really kind of decide what thoughts you're going to accept and the other ones you're going to throw away. You said you stop. And when you said that, it brought me to like thought exchange is giving one the ability to, like, these are the top 3 that came to me. So I'm gonna share them with you. It's not a framework. I'll get to the framework later.
Okay.
But it's not a framework.
Mm-hmm.
But having the ability to get in a space where you can experience thought exchange, or it's like if you're in a grocery store, you might take something off the shelf and look at it a couple of times, like, I don't want that, you put it back. So one, it gives you the ability to expand your knowledge, because a lot of times you think you know it all based on where you came from. So for me, I'm thinking it's like, okay, it allows me to ask the question, because you said that too, right?
Mm-hmm.
It allows you to ask the question. But the question for me is like, I'm asking myself, what else do I need to know?
Exactly.
The second part of this is, and again, it's not a framework. I want to preface that because like the framework is coming later. The second part is it gives you the opportunity to challenge your assumptions. Now that part for me, oh my God, that's a life changer. Let's go all gas, no brakes.
There you
Let
go.
me challenge these assumptions. The things that I'm assuming, what is it based on?
That part.
Oh my God, that is so real. And then the third part of it is having the ability to encourage innovative thinking through a diversity of perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're giving your space to look at things more than, like if I put a knife in front of you, somebody might look at that knife and they say, "Oh, I'm gonna use this to carve out a statue out of a piece of wood." And somebody else might look at it and say, "I'm gonna use this knife to cut my steak." Somebody else may look at that knife and I'm gonna use this knife to stab somebody. So you have this myriad of perspectives that could be applied to one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it allows you to really be creative in your imagination as to how are you going to look at it?
Mm-hmm.
What is another way to see this thing? And I know that may sound like it takes some time, but it happens in a nanosecond once you start doing it, right? In the beginning, you have to sit in it. But when you become a master of it, it's just what you do.
Exactly. And you'll go from perspective to opinion, from opinion to perspective, all based on your belief.
Yeah.
Is that an opinion? Okay. Or is that a perspective, or both? You know, you'll start, it's really quick. And like you said, it'll happen in that very, very quick time frame, or headspace is what we're talking about. And then the other beautiful thing about that is, again, I love being around children, because when they say something as simple as, that's not mine. That's not mine. Did you do that? That's not mine. We can learn from children sometimes, because that goes back to when you're like, Tamiko, do we know? Yes, we know that. Go be around a 2-year-old. Because that, in that state, people call it the terrible twos. You know what's so terrible about it? That child is losing its innocence of its spiritual connection, and becoming more human-like. And that's why there's such a contrast in what they're willing to listen to and obey versus what their little spirit is telling them. I really enjoy a little rambunctious, as people say, hard-headed, and I say big heart, 2-year-old, 1.5-year-old, because they're battling with that whole, why do I have to, unless I'm trying to jump off a bridge? Why is that? Why do I have to do that? Why can't I just run around here with my pamper off and jumping off of tables and whatever?
Right.
Why I got to, why? By the time it's true and everything is why? I challenge anybody. Get the mindset of that 2-year-old. Ask yourself why. Why?
That's good.
And they don't say why this or why that. They just say why. Why? You got little smart little girls sometimes. They'll be like, but why? Well, let's say the why, baby. Let's stay right there. Okay. But that helps with perception and how you see things. I'm going to tell you, this last year, and just taking a deeper dive into spirituality versus religion versus denomination and all of those things, I have become a 2-year-old. Yes, I have. And I have put the but in front of the why. But why?
Oh, that's good, Tamiko.
I've had to put the BUT in front of the why. But why? And then sit back and watch. Because guess what? Folks don't have a lot of answers.
They don't, do they?
No, they don't. And that's where the but in front of the why came in. So I don't have myself looking like an ass.
They don't have a lot.
They don't have it. So, and it was a little discerning. It was very uncomfortable for a while. But as I did this work and was able to be in it, sit in it and be in it, and journal and pray, a lot of these answers were cleared. Some are still a work in progress. But the biggest thing is, we have a blueprint. And if we follow that blueprint, simple things is, don't judge others, watch yourself. They know not who they are. So they damn sure don't know who I am.
Right.
So that part.
It's amazing. It's amazing how we go through life expecting certain things. And most often, here's the deal. I think most often we're expecting things turn out a certain way, and they don't, because of the way that we think.
Yeah.
But there's a way to design what you can expect. Mm-hmm. And it is so awesome Oh my God, it is so awesome to actually see that stuff unfold
Mhm.
just by being intentional of how you pick the thoughts that you're willing to accept and impress in your subconscious mind, which impresses it in the one mind, and it brings things to you um, that you have already planted because the world can't give you what you don't give it first.
Mhm. And also I would say this with when you're analyzing, right, what you think, or again, I go to what do you feel? Because if you stay just up here, that's programming, okay? That's programming. Some things we have that sit in our thought process, it could have been developed while we were in the womb. That's a whole nother conversation. You had your mother that dealt with certain things during the pregnancy. That still sits in your mindset. That sits in your body. So oftentimes, just remembering the mind as a computer, okay, and it's the main computer, okay, it's the modem of these 12 systems of this body. So allow yourself to drop into the body and feel some things. Get out of your head. Go deep.
Go deep.
Go deep. Okay. Um, there's a reason why when you sit for so long, your legs fall asleep.
Yeah.
Not your arms, not your shoulders, but your legs. Why?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's just I go into a much deeper level because again, it's just like what we talked about with the developing of the green room collective. We'll talk about that in details. It's coming soon.
Coming soon.
But
She's the queen coming soon, y'all.
coming soon. Because there's such a beautiful camaraderie and a beautiful essence of being around like-minded people that have weathered the storms of this thing called life and are truly actively doing the work, which have allowed them to become who they are. Those are the funnest people in the world to be around. It's a good time.
It is a good
It's a
time.
very good time. Okay. Um, because again, you look at like, when you study and you learn about culture, right? And so culture teaches us, a culture is a system that is already developed based on the communities or the environment of the people that are in the communities that creates a culture. So what has been exciting for me right now, thinking about some things is, wow, being able to create a culture or a community. Some of the buzzwords right now are wellness and rest and peace um and I would even take it so high as to say to alchemy and to true spirituality and essence and God consciousness on all denominations,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
then that speaks to the oneness, that speaks to the unity of who we are, right?
Mm.
Um, yeah. So that, like when you talk about you glow, it's just like that's why, because I've been like really sitting in a whole nother meditation on that, and it is yummy. Like it's real yummy. Like I haven't had potato chips in a week. It's that yummy. Okay. It's just like so, and it probably the seed was planted or the trigger was cocked when you shared this title and for or this theme for this conversation was like, because I was already moving into that space with us coming towards the end of the year.
I think this is such a good way to end the year and to step into 2025 with some elements of this conversation that can really begin to open people up to a different, not only a different way of thinking, but to new experiences that they are conscious and aware that they actually designed that.
Exactly. And that you're beautiful. Like you really, oh man, we are so beautiful. We are so divine. And there is so much goodness and so much essence and so much wisdom and so much life that is within us. And if we can tap into that, oh man, it was so beautiful this weekend in the church community. And there's I always gravitate toward the elders. But there's one woman I seen, most Sundays, real sharp lady. Okay. And in some kind of way we got on age. And she was like, well, so and so always says she, but I'm older than her. Now I knew that the other person was either 80 or 90. And I was like, really? I said, well, I know you're not supposed to do this, but I'm going to ask you, what's your age? And she said 92. Now, you could have knocked me over with a breath. I was like, wait, what? Beautiful. I mean, even her gait, able to still walk. Like, I was just like, wow. And I looked at her skin, because we Estes at heart, estheticians, just everything about her excellence. And that's what I got from that after she said that. And I looked at her and I was like, wow. And I'm like, and this is 92. So that perception, and what I immediately went into, this woman has known herself for a very long time. She has known herself for a very long time.
Yeah, it shows.
Okay. And I was like, wow. And I just gave her the biggest hug. I said, you know what? I said, you got some stuff that you could teach some people. And she was like, oh, I was in education. I said, yeah, you might have been in education, but education was in you. And I said, and folks need to figure this stuff out. I said, we got such a long way to go. And so we had a dynamic, because she thought, of course, I was a lot younger than I am. But I shared that because the perception, I would have barely put her, I would have said we were the same age, maybe a little bit, maybe I would have gave her 10. So at the most, 67, 70 at most, but not 92.
Yeah.
Still driving, everything sharp. I was like, wow, and I don't feel like that's celebrated enough.
No, it's not. It's not.
Okay.
Probably the reason is that people don't know that how really important and impactful that is to life.
Mm-hmm. But that's the thing, Marnita, when you talk about perception and opinion, like to be able to take that time, like we had an event after church. I wasn't going. But when the 90-year-old and the 92-year-old said they was going, I said, I'm just gonna come and sit with y'all. You're not gonna eat. I said, I'm gonna feed off of y'all. I want to get to know you some more. I want to see what y'all eating. I want to see how you eating. I want to see how you sit down. I want to see, and y'all say y'all been over here for 70 years. It take me everything every Sunday. It take everything in me to get here every Sunday. So I'm getting ready to sit at y'all table if y'all say I'm invited, and I'm getting ready to observe. And they were like, wow. And I meant that. Let me see how y'all doing this thing and continue to do this thing. I'm intrigued.
That's good.
I'm intrigued.
You know, as important as it is really important to be in the presence of those type of people.
Of greatness.
And know that you're in the presence of greatness, right?
And greatness, yes. And
Is
giving them their flowers.
Yeah, of course. But it's also important, which most people tend to navigate to know that when you're in the presence of people who are always having conversations about the sick, the dying, and the dead.
Not in my presence, they won't.
No, I only say this
Oh,
because
because if you do, we're gonna conjure them up. And if you're scared of them, why are you calling on them?
sometimes you have to leave because sometimes it's not your people. And you're in this big community, right? And people congregate.
But you know what, Marnita? I will say
I
this.
just leave.
Well, and here's the thing. I'm gonna be honest. I don't have that. That doesn't happen to me as much. People, like, again, the conversation is gonna elevate because, again, that's where I'm at. Like, we are not going to necessarily I mean, that's something I've worked with my mom on. Like, cause she all about the new
So
mm-mm.
for me, it happened yesterday, and these people weren't talking to me, but they were in earshot of me.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I gotta go. I can't stay here and
And
listen
hear this and hear this. Yep, that's it.
because it was hurting.
And that's fine if you have to remove yourself from, because at one point when they I think it was getting ready to ease into that conversation, because we got the chicken and waffles, all the things going on. And so I was just like, oh, okay. I said, well, all right, the beautiful people, I'm gonna give you guys your hug. Cause then of course other people wanted to come to the table. And I'm like, now I'm getting ready to get going. Cause I'm gonna be smelling like fried chicken. And I have to I don't even know how I'm gonna handle this. But toodaloo. See you next year.
I love you.
It was like, see you next year. I'm like, yes. Think about that statement.
So, Tamiko, I want to give a framework.
Okay.
I want to share a framework that people can use going into the new year of how to really get into a space of, I almost want to call it thought choice, discernment of thought. Like, what are you going to keep? What are you going to throw away? Because every thought is not yours to keep.
Mm-hmm.
So, you ready for the framework?
I am ready for the
framework.
For the framework.
So, the first part of this framework is to be aware.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, dun. Be aware of who's doing the thinking.
Can you repeat that for the people in the back? They went to the kitchen to get some water. Could you repeat that, please, for them? Wait, come on. Just so they don't have
Be
to.
aware of who is doing the thinking. A lot of people may not get that though.
Then keep listening.
Be aware of who is doing the thinking. So that's number one. Part one of the framework. Part two is observe. Observe. Observe the thoughts as if they were on a teleprompter.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Now that's true. I think that's true mastery. When you can watch these ideas and words go across your mind, like, I'm gonna take this one.
Mm-hmm.
I used to work at GE in Cleveland. It's interesting that I'm even remembering this because the subconscious don't forget nothing.
Nothing. It's in there.
And we had this thing, and this is the second time I'm telling somebody I used to work at GE this
Really?
week. Yes.
Oh,
So
wow.
apparently it's supposed to come up in the conversation.
Apparently.
We did this line of work that they call piecework. And little items would come across the conveyor belt. And we had to pick the items, do the mount, put it in a tray. Pick the items, put it in a mount, do it, put it on the tray. Pick the item, put it on the mount, put it in a tray. Pick the item, do it on, put it on the mount, put it in a tray. Every now and then you would pick the item had a defect. You didn't mount it. You threw it away. Because you don't want anything that's not at its fullest potential or have the ability to expand in something bigger and better and add value to something. So you have to throw it away. You don't put it in a tray. And every thought on a teleprompter that's coming across is not meant to be put into your tray. What is your tray? It's not meant as a seed to be impressed into your subconscious, where it can grow and develop and blossom. So observe. That's the second part of the framework. Number 3, third part of the framework. Choose the thoughts that have the ability to expand into something bigger, better. I'm going to say this, although this may be grammatically incorrect, gooder.
Gooder. So this the way you say it, Marnita. Dr. Marnita, you say it like this. You say good, and then you say
gooder.
No. Good. And then they'll say, oh, yeah, but that's me. Yeah, good, and then
Yeah, choose the thoughts that has the ability to expand into something good.
See? There.
I got it. Hey.
That's it.
Number 4, fourth part of the framework. This is so important. You mentioned this also in our conversation today, Tamiko. Believe.
That part.
Believe in an idea with a confident expectation. That's what you call faith.
Believe that it is true and it is so.
Yeah, believe. And number 5. Rinse and repeat numbers 1 through 4 until what is not seen on the outside becomes seen to other people. Rinse and repeat numbers 1 through 4 until the unseen becomes seen. Put everything 1 through 4 on rinse and repeat until what is unseen becomes seen. Because everything I'm thinking about, Tamiko can't see yet. That's how you have an ability to do a thought exchange and begin to design your expectations. And so you're not consistently disappointed.
Exactly. And on the last part, I want to bring this to the attention to, and what is seen on the inside of you when it becomes seen on the outside of you for you, not for anybody else.
For you.
Because when that happens, others will see it. Yeah. This is not a I'll show them. This is a I'll be me.
I'll be me.
Right?
Right.
Because I'll show them sounds revengeful. I'll be me sounds like expansion.
Exactly.
Right? Because you're only going to keep expanding. Boom, boom, boom. And that's the beautiful thing about life. The beautiful thing about true growth. I just had a conversation with one of my clients today, and it's like she was freaking out about something, and I just You know, I was kind of I had to put myself on mute because actually I was laughing and she was not laughing. Okay. But what was cool was because we're at this point where I felt like she was, she's navigating life, personal and professional, on cruise control. And I'm like, not good. It's time to stretch. I'm like, you comfortable? Stretch. That muscle has now relaxed. You know how you play pickleball, right?
Yeah, every day.
Every day. And you know that there's times when you might figure out a new move or you have a stronger component or opponent, excuse me. You have a stronger opponent and you played a little harder. You're gonna feel some muscles in certain areas that you might have had to flex a little more. You might have had to dig a little deeper. You might have had to move a little different, right?
Yeah.
That's what's going to take you to a different level. If you're at a 4, what's going to take you to that level of 5 where your competition becomes stronger? But if you just out there being cute to death, like that's what you're gonna do because you're gonna have on all your out. But that you're ready for championship level and competition, so you're going to have to stretch a little bit, play a little harder, play a little stronger to get in a different arena of champions.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that's where I said to her, no, you being forced to stretch. You were sitting in some comfortable for a while. Now it's time to get on. You already uncomfortable because you're being called on a few things. So now how are you going to stretch?
Yeah.
Okay. You might even have to flex in that stretching a little bit, but don't flex until you stretched and you really stretched out that muscle enough to flex so you don't tear nothing up.
Right.
Okay. So just saying that to that part, just being aware in that framework of that you're doing this for you and not necessarily. I mean, there are sometimes don't
Well,
get
people need to understand. I'm so glad you just mentioned that, but what they really need to begin to understand, because society doesn't teach it to us, is that you can't do it for anybody but you. Society will have you to believe that you can do it for other people. And that's just like giving them your that's just like giving them your like woman to woman. Tamiko, we're probably the same size, right?
Mhm.
But I couldn't take a pair of my underwear out of my closet and give it to you.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
But that's what they do when
And
you think you can,
know this, I probably
she
would
can't
say
wear
something
my stuff.
crazy. Look at
She can't wear my stuff.
that.
But when you're trying to do it for other people, you're trying to get them to wear your stuff. They
Mhm.
can't wear your stuff.
And know this, just because a person say they want some help, that does not mean they want you to do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes help means that they just want you to hear them. Just listen.
Yeah. Just listen.
Just listen. Because sometimes talking it out, they'll come up with the answer. Or they'll just get rid of the problem. Because now they're like, oh wow, yeah, I don't need that. So that
Yeah.
Mhm. I'm telling you, there's so much clarity and silence. Just like when you were talking about the having the teleprompter of your thoughts. You know, that's why a lot of people are uncomfortable in meditation because they think you're just supposed to sit there and not think. No, what happens is the thoughts that no longer serve you, you let them go.
Right.
And so what starts to loop, it's not those same number of thoughts that we think every single day. Because there's certain
Right.
things that are automatic. Get up. The first thing you get up in the morning, you got to go to the bathroom. Then after you go to the bathroom, you might come back and you do this, and you got to brush your teeth, you got to wash your feet. It's some things you don't have to think about because it becomes an automatic. So what you do in the routine of being quiet is you break the automatic thought and what it is you're doing. So you can be.
And make sure, here's another good one, I think. Make sure you're automatic. Like if you're gonna live on autopilot, make sure it's working for you.
That part.
And if it's not, change it. How do you change it? Choose different thoughts.
Yeah. Because think about this. Think of a plane that just was just flying around on autopilot with no destination. Would one think that at some point there's a strong possibility that that plane may run out of gas?
Yeah.
And that's what happens in our lives. We're going so much on autopilot, on rock, that eventually we run out of gas.
Yeah.
We no longer can make it to the end game or remember where the destination was in the first place.
That's good.
Especially when it comes to, and I only can relate to this because this is all I've ever been in my life, and that's a woman or a girl, okay? But the whole idea of, growing up, some going to school and, it was that grow up, get married, have kids, get the home, grow up, get married, have the kids, get the home. I don't think it really got too much further than that for most. Grow old together, possibly. And then that dynamic started to change somewhat.
Yeah.
Especially over time when folks wouldn't get married at 18 and 19 anymore.
Right.
They didn't stop having kids at that age, but they stopped getting married at that age.
Right.
How about that? Things changed. So then we switch it up a little bit. But guess what? That end game was still supposed to end the same way.
Yeah.
It's like they say, who moved the goalposts?
Right. It's true.
Who moved the goalposts? So that part. So we got our framework. We are coming to the end of the 2020.
This was so good.
This is 24. Okay, look, I was like,
this was so good. Oh my God. Actually, and I just want to, this changed my life.
oh, thank you. Thank you.
It changed my life. It gives me so much fulfillment to be able to, one, share this with everybody too, and two, to actually experience it firsthand on my own. And I can't think of a better person to have an opportunity to do this thing with than my girl, Tamiko Ruby J.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm humble and humble because it has also served as a beautiful catalyst for me because it's been live. In the commitment, in the camaraderie, in the sticking with. And that's out of a respect and out of a genuine kindred spirit.
Yeah.
And so to you, my sister, I say commit, and it has been like a labor of love. It flows. It's cool because in my career, people that I've worked with, usually when we work together, we work together. We locked on until, right? And it's allowed me in life to be very successful. Another thing, and this might be something we touch on later as well, and I'm not going to go too far off into this, but the one thing I want to say is I can call you a friend, and that's not a word that I use lightly. Because when you get in your blessed years, is what I'm going to call them, I've often heard people say, and especially women, and especially Black women, okay, because that's one thing I can speak to because I happen to be one, but it's hard to make friends or quote unquote find friends. And what I would say to that is you have to be a friend of yourself first.
Yeah.
And once you can do that, you'll attract those people or those persons. And if you are a person that has 1 or 2, anything over 2, consider yourself blessed. And so in that, I want to just say thank you. And there's a blessing in this. 13 episodes in. Marnita, only thing I didn't really, well, the beauty industry, but the cool thing about that was, we get different clients. It's a different day. It's a different vibe every single day, right?
Right.
But I can't, and the only thing that I may have committed to is parenting, right? And then after that, everything else was like, it was sideways. Okay. But this is a commitment every Tuesday, give or take if something comes up. But you guys might not hear us or see us, but every Tuesday we are talking. Every Tuesday. That's
a commitment on a whole nother level.
That is a whole nother level because people know, like I know. So the showing up and what I shared with you today, and that tells you in itself, when I told you how I get to the link, we gonna just leave that there. That'll be the okay. And you was like, wait, what?
Right.
And they're like, what's she laughing at? Inside joke, y'all, inside joke. But that being said, kudos. It continues to be an amazing ride. I recognize this. Those of you that are there that stay till the end, come in the middle. I don't know what it is, but what I will say is this: thank you for your time. Thank you for taking the time and riding with us because it's a wild ass ride. It's off roading.
It's all that.
It's all of that, and just know that. Just like you gave this time, your valuable time on any episode or any time that you gave to yourself and to us, I want to personally thank you and say God bless you. And stay tuned. Stay tuned. Because we got new tires on the off-road, y'all.
We definitely do. So yeah, stay tuned. Thank you again. We love you.
We love you. Be blessed.
Be blessed.
Be blessed. And here comes 2025, y'all, live.
Here it come. Here it come.
Here it come.